Hello everyone, this is your friend Mohammed from TechLatest.net, where we provide latest trends in technology. If you want to be notified with all new products and videos and other updates, please subscribe to our mailing list at techlatest.net/subscribe. Or you can go to our website at techlatest.net, click on subscribe and provide your email ID. In addition to our email list, you can also follow us on our Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and GitHub accounts. Thanks a lot. So today we will cover the Ripple blockchain overview. In this lecture, we will talk about what is Ripple, how it works, Ripple versus other digital assets, and why you should invest time and efforts in Ripple. Okay, so before we proceed, this is more of a theoretical overview of Ripple, and if you are aware about all these concepts, you can skip this particular video tutorial and jump onto the development directly. Okay, so let's proceed. So what is Ripple? Ripple is basically an RTGS, currency exchange and remittance network. So the main objective of Ripple is to provide bank transaction more efficiently and transparently across various financial institutes. So Ripple is created with that perspective in mind. So how it does that? So there is the underlying Ripple transaction protocol, we call it RTXP, and this protocol is built on the IP protocol, the internet protocol which we use in our day-to-day activities for communication, and on top of that there is this consensus ledger which is based on the blockchain technology. And there is this decentralized native digital asset which powers this ledger, and this native digital asset is called XRP. So as I said, the main objective of Ripple is to provide banking transaction, and it wants to solve the problem of having a lot of delays when it comes to sending and receiving money. Okay, so just like the internet, which acts as a network of information, a network of data from which you can transfer using which you can transfer data from one place to another place at lightning speed. Same way, Ripple wants to be the network of value, wherein you can transfer value, okay, in terms of money or currency from one node to the other node, from one place to the other place. So before we had internet, the way we transferred information was, for example, through snail mail, right? So you will write a postcard, put it in a post office, and then they will route it to the destination, and it was a very slow and cumbersome process. Then came the internet, wherein we had this digital network which can transfer information instantly from one place to other. So same way, Ripple wants to provide a distributed global network using which you can transfer value from one place to other place instantly. Okay, so to achieve this, Ripple uses the existing IP protocol of internet. On top of that, to provide the consistency of having those transactions, it uses the it uses the consensus ledger, which is based on the blockchain technology. So this way, using the consensus ledger, it avoids the double spending problem. Okay, now in order to power that network, there is this digital currency called XRP. So using this digital currency, the value can be transferred from one place to the other place. So this at a higher level what Ripple is. So how it works? In order for you to understand how it works, you need to understand how the value transfer happen currently in the traditional way, in the traditional system. So here at the top you can see there is that sending bank in one country who wants to send some currency, some value to the receiving bank at the right hand side, okay, which is in some other country. Okay, in order for this transfer to happen, the sending bank will transfer, so the way the transaction will go through is the sending bank will have the central bank, okay, at the originating country. So the value will transfer over there. From the central bank it will be transferred to, let's say in this case, the USA bank. From USA bank it goes to another country's bank, and through this hopping ultimately it receives, the money is received at the receiving bank. So here you will see there is exchange happening from one currency, okay, which is dollar, to some other currency, the receiving country's currency, and at each hop there is the foreign transaction cost. Okay, so there are two consequences of this traditional approach of sending and receiving money. One, there is the transaction cost, okay, and the foreign exchange cost. So there is that slippage happening, okay. So the user has to depend on the exchange rate, which can go up and down. The second thing is there is cost associated in terms of the overhead. So because of all these overheads of the global banks, their networks, the centralized bank of one country interacting with the centralized bank of other country and so on, and on top of that there are regional and international regulations which this transfer needs to comply with. There is a lot of delays. Okay, so typically you will have more than uh, 24 hours of delay happening between this transfer if there is some holiday across the border, and there is a weekend and so on. Okay, now let's see how this transaction will happen if it is done through the Ripple network. So in this case the sending bank will have the exchange, okay. They will have this exchange which is integrated with Ripple network, okay. So the exchange will receive the transaction, and instantly the equivalent XRP amount will be transferred to the other exchange at the receiving country, okay. So on the receiving bank side, in that country there will be another exchange or gateway, okay. So these two gateway will reside on sending and receiving bank's country respectively. So the receiving exchange gateway will receive the transaction, then it will send the equivalent XRP amount to the other exchange across the border, and then that exchange will provide the liquidity in terms of the local currency for that transaction. So here the transfer from one exchange to other exchange happen instantly, okay, within 5 seconds. Okay, so that's the transaction time to process one block in uh, the Ripple consensus ledger, right? So here you will see that it has the advantage of speed because it is happening electronically, and it has the advantage of being cheaper compared to the traditional way of transferring the value, because here there is no foreign exchange cost, and then it doesn't depend on the fluctuation of the foreign exchange. And the second thing is the transaction cost is very less compared to the traditional charges which these banks uh, uh, incur on their customer. So this is how it works at a very high level. Okay. Now the third point here is how Ripple is different from other digital assets. Okay, and how it compares with other digital assets. So in terms of speed of transaction, you will see that XRP fares far ahead compared to any of the well-known digital assets, be it BTC, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Dash, or LTC. Okay. You will also observe that the transaction speed for XRP is in seconds. Okay, 3.3 seconds over here as of the last date, whereas for others it is in minutes. And the main reason we have the high transaction speed is because XRP or Ripple is focused on solving one problem using the blockchain technology, and that is transferring value. Okay, and that also mostly across borders through the banks, whereas other digital assets, they have various use cases. Okay, so the use cases they're handling is broad, so they need to cover a lot of areas to cover those use cases, whereas XRP is focused on one area. So for example, BTC, the main use case for BTC is a store of value, and also a digital currency, right? But whereas for Ethereum, it is providing a global distributed virtual machine for computing. Okay, so because of these various use cases they are focusing on and the underlying algorithm they are using, so BTC uses the proof of work algorithm to avoid double spending. Ethereum used proof of work and they are moving to proof of stake and so on. So these algorithms are both time consuming as well as computing, it uses more computing power, whereas XRP it uses the consensus algorithm. Okay, so wherein you don't need to work on solving the proof of work, and it is focused on one use case, so the overall transaction speed is very high. The cost also, because of the same reasons, the cost per transaction is also very high and the scalability is also very high. Here you can see that in terms of transaction per second, at this point XRP can handle 1500 transaction per second, whereas for others it ranges from 16 transaction per second to maximum 56 transaction per second. And again, all these estimates are as of 28th of November. Okay, so this is how XRP fares against other digital assets. So now you have understood what Ripple is, what are the use cases for Ripple, and how it fares against other cryptocurrencies. The next question is, why you should be bothered about Ripple. Okay, so before we answer that question, let's see why other institutes like banks and payment provider corporates and exchanges, why they are so much interested in Ripple. So for banks, Ripple provides a new way of transferring value during the transaction, so it will help them capture new revenue stream. For payment providers like PayPal, it will help them expand their reach. So as Ripple network will grow, more and more users and banks will use it for transferring the value. And for payment provider, it will be a good opportunity to expand their reach. What about corporates? For corporate, it will simplify their payments because currently corporate, especially the international corporates, they need to go through a tedious process of having these value transferred from them to their suppliers, or to receive the value from their customers. So instead of using the traditional way of accepting or sending value, Ripple will help them simplify their payments. And for exchanges, it will help them turn up the volumes. So these are the reasons why there is so much buzz around Ripple in these corporates and institute. But what about you? If you are looking at this video, most likely you are from an IT background. Either you are working as an IT professional, you are having a company which provides IT solutions, and so on. So why you should be interested in Ripple? So if you are from IT background, you will notice that because of this revolutionary approach of providing the network of exchange of value, there is a lot of interest from banks and payment provider, corporate, and so on, to understand Ripple and to integrate Ripple, or to integrate themselves in a Ripple network. So as a result, they will need some help, in fact a lot of help from IT professional to understand Ripple and to understand how their business should adopt Ripple, which in turn will provide you consulting opportunities. So that's reason number one. And as these consulting opportunities will eventually result in some implementation projects, those companies will need help in implementing their businesses, integrating their business, implementation for integrating their businesses with Ripple network. And as the ecosystem will grow through this implementation, there will be new exciting opportunities of providing products and solution around this ecosystem. So because of these reasons, and because of a lot of buzz around Ripple and the way Ripple has grown in past few years, it will be best to invest time and efforts in understanding how the overall Ripple network works, and how uh, you can provide consulting services, implementation, and create products using the Ripple infrastructure.